Hi, my name's Colin. This is my guide dog, Powell. We live in Edmonton and I'm visually impaired. I lost my sight when I was about 5. Between the ages of 4 and 6, I started developing problems with my retinas.
Colin would go out walking with the untrained pet dog up and down our street where we lived, and Colin used to find what we call the 2-foot ruts where the vehicles had gone through, and he'd use those as a guide to go up and down the hillside on his own, pack himself a lunch, and off he'd go.
My name is Stephanie Leach. I was born with a genetic condition called aniridia that caused the vision loss. At 15, I had my right eye removed, so I had no vision in my right eye. I do still have a little bit of vision in my left eye. I got my first guide dog when I was 18, so I was just starting my last year of high school.
I got my first guide dog when I was 19 from a school in Edmonton.
What is a guide dog?
A guide dog is a dog that is trained to guide a blind person. Essentially, a guide dog guides a blind person by means of a harness and a handle. So the dog has a harness on, and there's a handle attached to that harness that the blind person holds. The dog is trained to move forward with that blind person holding onto the handle, and they're trained for obstacle avoidance. Using a white cane was okay. Like, I was very independent and very capable of using a white cane to navigate, but with a white cane, it's a very tactile way of understanding your environment. So with a cane, you're walking down the street, and the cane has to find things for you, any obstacles that are in your way or anything that you have to go around or avoid, the cane has to find it.
And when we moved from the Yukon Territory to Edmonton, Colin started university, and he was still using a cane at that time. I was concerned, of course. The city's busy, people didn't know him here, and I was concerned that just more opportunity for accident.
Having a guide dog allowed me to quickly and safely travel through environments where there would be obstacles, either people or objects, and the dog was able to guide me around those things. So that took a massive amount of stress and anxiety and the necessity to concentrate. It took that out of the picture for me.
Colin's first guide dog, Vista, a beautiful little golden retriever, came to live with us. It was a bit challenging because I'm a dog person. I love dogs, and I wanted to spend all this time spoiling her and playing with her, but she had to develop a relationship with Colin. So family members had to withdraw from that and allow her time to bond with Colin. And these individuals are trusting their life to the dog.
Most of the time, the barriers to accessibility is like the physical barriers. So, I can't read print signs, or, if there's a door that's it's basically a window for a door, I can't find the door handles, where with a dog, the dog will target the door handle for me.
Hi, my name is Susan. Can any dog be a guide dog?
The breeds that are used for guide dogs are breeds that have been bred and have developed throughout human history to want to please their master, please humans. So the typical breeds for guide dogs are golden retrievers, labs, and German shepherds. So there's basically 3 main breeds that they would use, with additional crossbreeds between golden retrievers and labs. My first dog was a golden retriever, and my second dog was a golden retriever. My third dog was a big black lab, and now I have the German shepherd.
I'm curious, I use the word
guide dogs and service dogs interchangeably, and I'm not sure what the difference is.
So a guide dog is a dog that's trained specifically to help a person who's blind or visually impaired to navigate safely through their environment. A service dog is basically the definition that's used to relate to any other physical disability. So whether it's a service dog is helping someone in a wheelchair or who uses a walker to, pick things up off the ground, help them take things out of the laundry, to, the autism assistant dogs, the hearing aid dogs to help people who are deaf.
I've always wondered who had the first guide dog in North America.
So the first guide dog in North America was named Buddy. And Buddy came from Switzerland initially. And Buddy was Maurice Frank's first guide dog in 1928. Maurice Frank went on to create a school called the Seeing Eye, which was set up to train these dogs to help and guide blind people. Maurice Frank went to Switzerland to get his first dog because in Switzerland they were starting to train dogs for World War I vets who had been blinded in the war. And they realized that these dogs that were originally war dogs were already highly trained. So dogs start when they're puppies. 8 weeks old, they start training to eventually become a guide dog. So training meaning when they're that little, they're training for basic obedience, they're training for their house training. They're also socialized with other dogs, exposed to public places and people. They're exposed to all that for at least the first 14 months of their life. They'll start their guide dog training, shall we say, at 14 to 16 months old. They're ready to go to what they call harness training at that age. Find the stairs. Oh, you want to take the ramp instead? Okay. From that point to the time that they're done, anywhere between 4 to 6 months, depending on the dog. Some dogs learn faster. At the end of that 6 months, they're ready to be placed with a blind person. And that's when the school will start matching them, putting them through a matching process to see if they can be matched with somebody.
My current guide dog is my second dog, and then being able to fly with my dog. I've flown to Fort McMurray. I fly back and forth to Ontario to see my family, and so the dog goes with me to all those places. And having the adaptability of the dog being able to navigate different environments is something I asked for when I was applying for my guide dog.
Sometimes you can, with certain schools, you can request what type of breed you want. I did request a German Shepherd, although I would have been okay with a Retriever or Lab if that was a better match. Fortunately, they had a German Shepherd that was probably the best matched dog I've ever had.
Okay, all right. Ah, yes.
Having a guide dog is not like having another pet, because the biggest difference is that guide dogs are with the blind person 24/7. So they are going with them if they go out, if they go anywhere, that dog is typically with them. Unlike a pet, if you leave to go to work or if you leave to go out somewhere, the pet's going to stay home. Okay, so a guide dog is not always on duty. Typically, a blind person is very well aware and comfortable in their own home environment. The dog is then off duty. They're not a pet necessarily, but they're more of a pet at that point than they are a working dog. Which means that, like any pet, they like to play.
What happened? No, out. Ready? Go.
With Powell loves to chase a soccer ball in the backyard. He loves to chase stuffy toys with squeakers in them in the house.
I've always wondered what rights guide dog teams have.
I have certain rights as a guide dog handler and with my guide dog. In other words, we have rights as a team, specifically in Alberta. We have rights under the Blind Persons Rights Act in Alberta that grants us the right to access to any public place or anywhere the public would normally be. That would include restaurants, malls, businesses, anywhere the public is allowed to be in. The dog has to be from a certified school that's recognized by the Alberta government as a certified guide dog school. I got Powell in January 2019, and Powell is currently 5 years old. Unfortunately, they don't work forever, and unfortunately, dogs don't have exceedingly long lifespans. Right around 10 or 11 years old, they'll retire. Depending on the dog, some dogs are sooner than that, some dogs are a little bit later than that. It's a very tough decision to make, and not to be made lightly, but at the end of the day, you know, we're responsible for looking after our dogs. I think a huge part of a dog's ability to guide a blind person around is the bond that they share with that person. Without that bond, it wouldn't work. I think that the bond is super important for the guide dog to be able to do their work, and for you to be able to trust that dog, because that's a lot of it too, is that a blind person working with a guide dog has to be able to trust that dog to do the things that they're trained to do. And you have to trust them. If you don't trust them, it's not going to work.
I think emotional support is something that can't be underestimated, because it really, I don't think it's easy going through life blind. We can all use a little extra emotional support, and certainly a guide dog provides that.
I would say my emotional bond and physical bond with Powell is greater than any other dog that I've had. Powell is extremely loyal and extremely brave, and I think that has given me more trust than I would probably normally have in a dog, and trust that he's going to do what he needs to do to make sure that I get somewhere safely. Yeah, I love Powell. Of course I love Powell.